BMW M3. I've always loved M3s. Even back in the olden days, when the coupes were called M3s and the sedans were called M3s, I always liked the sedan better for some reason, the look of it. The bits of sheet metal that make an M and M versus a standard 3 Series just stand out more on the sedan than they do on the coupe. I mean, coupes are sexy and fast looking anyway, but the sedan has this sort of Teutonic business-like shape, and you put fat fender flares on that, and it just stands out. First impressions, my first impressions, for what it's worth, I like the look of the car. I think the styling is great. I think the side profile, the proportions are really good. The stance is really good. The wheel design is absolutely gorgeous. I don't know how many spokes. I gave up trying to count how many spokes there are, but beautiful wheels. And the rear with those substantial quad exhaust tips and that carbon fiber, optional carbon fiber diffuser in the back looks awesome. The front of the car is controversial. Okay, BMW has started putting on more and more cars this woodchuck tooth, beaver tooth face, and I absolutely hated it when it first came out, but I've warmed up to it. In a car like this, a performance BMW car, I think it works well, especially in an odd or kind of dramatic color like this Sao Paulo yellow on this car. I think that face, it's a really in-your-face face, okay? But it kind of says, okay, sure, I can eat an apple through a picket fence, but go ahead, underestimate me. That'll be fun. Anyway, it works. So the overall look of the car, I think, is really good. The carbon fiber roof looks excellent, and it actually is carbon fiber where carbon fiber does some good, reducing the weight at the top end of the car. So that's a good thing. I think interior is executed very nicely. Very, very few hard plastics exposed. Soft touch materials all over. A lot of nice stitched leather, contrast stitched leather. You might love or hate the color of this Yasmarina blue interior. I think with the Sao Paulo yellow, it's very dramatic. It looks like a crayon box or a clown suit, but love it or hate it, whatever, it's a nice interior and it's really well executed. This particular car has optional seats. So these are the carbon bucket seats, hard carbon shell, obviously. They're very firm. The seat bolsters, the hip bolsters, are brutal to get over when you're getting into the car or getting out of the car. It's a hard car to get in and out of gracefully. So I didn't think I would like these seats, but after spending a bit of time in them, I believe I could drive all day in them and they would work. There's a digital screen front and center ahead of the driver. It's nicely executed. I prefer analog gauges, but it's nicely laid out, and there's a couple of different layouts you can choose for that. One of them has a map, sort of a very basic map in between the speedometer and the tachometer. That's kind of a nice feature. There's also, of course, the center screen, and the center screen now is a touch screen. So as with all BMWs for many years, we've got the iDrive puck on the center console, and iDrive used to make me crazy, but this current generation of the iDrive is really nicely laid out. The menus are easy to figure out. It's very easy to find what you're looking for. So iDrive works great in this car, but if you choose to, if you like fingerprints on your screen, you can actually touch the screen. And thirdly, there's voice activation. So if you don't want to make a selection using the iDrive puck or the touchscreen, you can use voice activation. I'm not a big voice activation fan, but it does work. I've used it, I've tried it several times in this car, and just as an example, microphone button on the steering wheel, push that. Set the passenger side temperature to 74 degrees Fahrenheit.
I'm setting the temperature on the passenger side to 74 degrees Fahrenheit.
Underneath the center screen, you've got push buttons for your seat heaters, your HVAC system. There's also below that push buttons for your audio system with station preset buttons, a volume control knob, and on the center console there are push buttons for exhaust. Ooh, did you hear that? Exhaust, louder or quieter. There's a push button for setup, so you push that button if you want to get right to the menu for setting, say, your damper firmness or your steering feel or your brake feel. So a lot of push buttons for frequently used items. So excellent, thank you BMW for that. This particular BMW that we're driving is not just an M3. This is an M3 Competition. And it's not just an M3 Competition, it's an M3 Competition xDrive. The Competition brings more power. This one has 30 more horsepower and over 70 additional pound-feet of torque across a wide torque band over the non-competition M3. So we're at 503 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque. Also, where the normal M3 would have 18-inch wheels in the front, 19s in the back, we have 19s in the front, 20s in the back. So we are rolling today on 275 in the front, 285s in the back, and these are Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires. The Competition xDrive brings all-wheel drive to the party. It's not all-wheel drive all the time. It's a rear-biased all-wheel drive, and you can set it multiple ways, even to the point of essentially disconnecting the front end from the powertrain so that you are pure rear-wheel drive. It's got a parking assistance package, executive package, which gives you heated steering wheel and some other nice stuff. The xDrive Professional, which gives you some silly things like a drift analyzer. I mean, if you drift this thing, it will actually tell you how long you've been drifting, how far you've been drifting, the angle that your butt end of the car has been hanging out, and it will rate your drift. So that's kind of silly. Carbon fiber trim here and there, the M-Carbon seats. So where this M3 Competition xDrive starts at about $77,000 at the time we're filming this, this car is about $96,000. I think it's about time to get this thing on a road. So I've got it in, let's call it daily driving mode. There are settings for damper stiffness, steering feel, brake feel, engine response, transmission response, a lot of settings. And they're useful, and I've got everything pretty much set in comfortable mode. Race corner here. Again, I've got this in comfort mode, and cornering is very nice. I actually wish that comfort mode was a bit softer than it is. Sport mode, delicious. Sport Plus mode chassis setting for really, really aggressive driving, like on a track day, is spot on. I would, on public roads like this, I would actually prefer Sport chassis setting. This Sport Plus is a little aggressive for imperfect pavement. The Competition comes with an automatic. It's not a DCT. I wish it was a DCT because this car has so much power in this, so much performance potential that super fast, lightning quick paddle response would be excellent. Doesn't have that, but it's really actually quite good. It is a torque converter automatic, but don't dismiss it. This torque converter automatic is mated to this engine really nicely. The engine, by the way, is 3 liters straight 6 with 2 single scroll turbochargers. Very little turbo lag. This car weighs, with the xDrive, right around 4,000 pounds. But acceleration's good. I mean, 0 to 60 if you use launch control, I mean, it's in the low 3s. Quarter mile times are in the low 11s. So another thing I wanted to mention is that there are 3 settings for transmission response. Whether you're driving in drive, letting it shift for itself, or even manually, there are 3 settings for how aggressive you want that shifting to happen. I've got it in the most aggressive setting right now in manual mode. And in manual mode, the response to my paddle inputs is almost DCT fast. It's impressive. Again, not a DCT, but this transmission works really, really well. It might actually be better combined with this engine than the 6-speed manual would have been. So I think they made the right decision there. The exhaust sound is fabulous. There's something delicious about a really, really good straight 6, and this is a really, really good straight 6. So what's this thing to live with as a daily driver? Just touch on that real quickly. The back seat, I'm 6-footer with kind of long legs. I can hop in the back seat behind this driver's seat, and I've got enough legroom. The back seat is also quite comfortable, and the back seat is 60-40 split. You fold that back seat down and you've got a lot of cargo capacity, and it's quite flat, which is nice. Even with the seat up, it's got a pretty cavernous trunk, so there's good trunk space, good cargo space. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, they're here. There's a wireless phone charger, excellent cup holders, all that stuff you need on a daily basis. It's here. It's here. Brake feel in this car, whether you're in sport or comfort mode, brake feel is very good. Particularly in sport mode, it is excellent. If the steering feel was as good as the brake feel, oh yeah, the steering just needs more heft. It needs more of that old school hydraulic steering feel. I'm gonna try a hard launch here, see what she does. Ready? I'm sorry. All right, I don't recommend that hard of a launch with traction control defeated in rear wheel drive. Oh, that was just silly.